Yeah, this is the mini bevel. You can't put an edge polish on a mini
Yeah,
bevel.
mini
But
bevel.
let's say it was a standard bevel and you forgot an edge polish.
Mm-hmm.
Then what you would do is
Edit.
you would go into edit.
Okay.
Now it's all grayed out because we've already cut it, so you can't really change that. But you would retrace.
Mm-hmm.
You put it on frame change because it's already cut, so therefore it's going to slip off. And then you would put on your polish and start from scratch. And now it's going to go through the whole process, but it's going to add the polish.
Always.
And because the size is already the right size, not a problem. Let's say you wanted to take this down 0.05.
So yeah, if you want to resize, suppose the lens was bigger and it was not fitting the frame.
That's right. Okay,
Yeah.
so I'm just going to chuck it just so I'm not standing there holding it. Retouch. Press
Retouch.
Press read. Yep. Go to size. Minus 0.05. Well, 0.02. Let's say it's just a little bit. Enter,
This one.
and then start. That's all. It's really simple. And again, 0.02. Typically, most edgers went down 0.05.
Okay.
But sometimes it's just a little bit. 0.05 might be too much. You can put it down 0.01 if you want.
So for plastic, full frame and metal, I can start with point. How much size I can do a smaller? Point.
From the beginning, once you know, then on your initial screen, I'll show you. On your initial screen, you can take it down. But let's say it's a Tom Ford, all right? Right off the bat, you know, you're probably going to have to take it down probably about 0.3. Sometimes it's 0.4.
0.4 or 0.04.
0.4,
Okay.
0.3. Again, because it's a deep groove, and the tracing is going to be the full depth. But because you have a fixed groove on the wheel, you can't get in there. So then you're going to have to take it down to start with. So right at the beginning, okay, I can't change it now because we cut, but you could just go into size right here and go minus let's say 0.25. Every frame is going to be different, so you don't want to go right to the maximum and then find, oops, it's too small.
So start with a small one.
Yeah, so you could take it down, let's say 0.25, or if you know that frame. And what I always suggest is, okay, the first one, even get a bunch of scrap lenses or cheap lenses, whatever. Cut it down to find out how much you have to take it down.
Oh.
Keep a record. That frame, we have to take it down 0.35. So now you can start off taking it down, let's say 0.25. And then you can take it down 0.1, right? As opposed to going too far. That's it. You've taken it down. Now you're down to the size. And it'll fit, at this point, because it was only 0.02, it'll fit just as well as before.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
Next job, you go back home. And you trace your next frame. Now, I'm just going to show you on this one here what you do. Because this one here has a false front, right?
Okay.
There's a different way of tracing this. Again, you put it in the same way, like so. You just hook it in
Pull
and then just
down.
slide it down so it's in there, roughly centered. Okay.
Okay.
I mean, it's not crucial that it be exactly centered, but if you're way off to the side, the probe may not reach.
Okay.
So put it roughly in the center. Go to frame. And now at the side, where it says go to semi-auto. What semi-auto does is it positions it, set the frame, yes. It positions the probe where it thinks it should be, and it waits for you.
Okay.
You can now grab that stylus and you can actually move it around to make sure it's in the proper groove.
Okay.
So it's not going to slip out, right?
Okay. All right. Got your
And it's going to sit. You can go to lunch, come back, it's going to still be waiting for you.
Okay,
Now
okay.
you push OK. Now it's going to trace it. So for these frames where you've got that, or there's, recently I came across a plastic frame. It was a thick plastic frame, but the groove was way at the front. And you had all this plastic behind it. What happens is it goes to the center point between those two, right? On the upper side. So again, it's going to sit there and wait for you. You push OK, and now away you go.
Okay.
So what happened in that case, it would come down onto the frame and slide off. So went into the setting mode, and it waited. It was there. It slipped off, but you could grab it and put it in the groove.
Start from there only.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. For any frame that gives you a problem,
This is the
just
metal.
do that. Yeah. Remove the frame. Away you go. And there's your shape. Okay. So what from that shape? Notice the difference in size: 87 and 74.
Distance. So yeah.
right? So that's why you don't want to save these at all. So you go to here, now you fill in your details. Then you go to here to block, and once it's blocked, you block one side, you block the other side, and now you're ready to go. Put it in,
then-
push start.
Okay. So in this stage, we don't have to make the like
Hold on, Spanish.
like 0.2 or 0.3 mm smaller or bigger. In this case, in this
No,
machine,
it
we are
should be-
not
It
doing.
should be right.
Yeah.
It should be right.
Yeah.
And
Because
as
in
you
that
saw on this
machine,
one-
yeah, we were doing that way.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that's why you're calibrating this.
Okay. All right.
So this is hard calibrated
Uh-huh.
to match this. Now, a couple of years down the road, fine. Wear and tear, you might need to get, Sarav to come in and do a calibration on the machine.
Oh, okay.
But it's a jig. I mean, this is one of the jigs. For certain things, you can actually do it yourself. You'd have to call him; he'll walk you through it.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
That's
Now, these here, you've got 5 pairs here.
Mm-hmm.
You've got another 5 pairs that I've included in here.
Okay.
Okay. Now,
So only
Sorry.
for this frame, we are doing the semi one, right? The semi setting and
yes. Yep.
pulling it in or out.
That's right.
okay. So,
But if
yeah.
you try a different frame and it slips out,
Okay.
do it that way.
Okay, we can do that too.
Right.
So instead of pressing auto, just semi one.
Seven.
Yeah. All right. Okay.
But for the most part, that's it. Okay, so now for your semi rimless, did you actually want to try semi rimless?
Yeah,
And
we-
see how it fits?
yeah.
Okay. First thing you have to do is you have to mark it so that you know what your horizontal reference is.
Okay.
Okay? So we're going to put this in. I typically on these put it this way. Okay? Because it doesn't matter. We're just
That's
looking
it.
for horizontal, but at least you've got a frame. If there's something wrong with these here, if they're a different size, you're up the creek. So roughly centered, and let's go a little higher. It doesn't really matter whether you're in the center or not.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do you have a nylon?
Need the thread, or you
Yeah.
can use the pin as well from side. Yeah.
Just try not to smudge those. Yep. Okay. So now what we're going to do, go back home. We're using a demo lens, right?
Okay, demo lens.
Now, typically the machine is designed to use the
Either
left
side.
lens,
Okay.
okay? So if you put this in, it's going to line up in those and automatically adjust it. I don't trust machines enough.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see it myself. So now we have to change this for this,
Okay.
all right? Because those are too far apart and it's liable to slip out. So this way, and that, there's a little notch, see?
Mm-hmm.
That goes on that pin.
Okay.
Okay, so now we put this on here and we line it up on any line.
Any of these line.
Any line. You're
Okay.
just looking for horizontal.
Okay.
Okay, and I can go to 2 times magnification to make sure that I'm where I think I am. Notice I'm not on the PD line. It doesn't
No
matter
matter.
because you're going to be putting in the PD.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now, because that was the left lens and I change it to left, it's going to be fine. You're lined up. You push measure. Now it's using light to trace it.
Okay.
As long as that lens is inside the yellow square,
Okay, so that's fit size.
that's fit size. Yeah.
Okay.
If it's outside, I'll show you what you have to do. If it's bigger than that.
That. Okay.
Okay, so there you are. I have to put in the DBL.
Okay, so this is yours.
17.
Okay, your frame curve is defaulting at 4 and 5. Now, ideally, if you have a lens clock, do you have a lens clock, a lens gauge?
Yeah, we do
We
have.
have it.
Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure it's accurate.
Yeah.
So this is your black coffee.
Oh, thank you very much. Appreciate that. Notice it's off,
Bit of, right?
right? So, plier. Do you have a little plier? Oh, right here.
And it's the corner, it's midnight.
Take the middle pin and just rotate it a little bit. Wrong way. Closer.
Yeah.
Okay, so now you know how to fix this.
Now I know.
Okay, so typically what you would do, okay, because you're only using light, you're measuring in 2 dimensions. So you don't know what the frame curve is going to be. So if you go on to here and go right up at the top, that's going to be a close approximation. All right, to what the actual frame curve is. And in this case, it's a 4.5.
4.5, yeah.
So right here, I can put in a 4.5. Okay, 5 is just, that's the wrap, that's typical. Okay, so now we go to the next arrow. Fill in your details.
Okay.
First thing I always do is I go into edit and I change this to Nylor. So I don't forget. Because if you put a bevel on it, you're screwed.
Nylor, okay.
Okay,
And the
again.
poly.
Yeah.
And the lens should be poly, right?
Right, but I don't have a poly lens, so I'm going to put it at
But we can
CO2.
do in these lenses too.
Yeah, well, you can do it on any lens,
Okay.
except for glass.
Okay.
Again, notice it's not even on here, but you do have a glass wheel. So if somebody wanted glass, you can do glass.
So in that case, I have to change the setting to.
Well, with the Nylor, you can't use glass because it'll just destroy your groove.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
So for the half frame, always choose this nylon
Yes, and I always put it in guided
guide.
just to make sure. Because what you don't want is you don't want it coming off towards the edge, really close to the front where it might chip. So always put those in guided so that you can double check it. Okay, so I'm going to put this at 33. Notice the other one changes automatically. Address it. If it's in yellow, you have to address it. I'm going to leave that at datum because it's a single vision. Okay, so typically you go down. Now this is where if I want it, I can change that. I can go minus 0.2, for example, if I know it's going to be too big because of the type of frame it is. This here, on a Nylor, you're not going to be doing that. Okay, so typically you go through these here, you go down, you make your changes here, and you go back, and now you're ready to go. All right?
Okay.
So, put this back where it belongs. Okay. All right, I'm just going to roughly center and okay, so
Okay.
we're going to go to the next arrow. All right, so we're going to the blocking page, and for the right lens, okay, I can take this off now because I don't need the shape anymore. I'm going to take this off because it's not going to be as stable for a full frame or for a full lens. Put that back in, and now you can see how clear those dots are.
Yeah.
All right, so you don't need to add on to them. And again, times 2. So I'm going to change this here to, okay. So if your center dot isn't clear, you can always line it up with those lines at
Okay.
33. So I'm just going to go back home.
So 33 was for PD, right?
No, that's the distance between those red lines.
Okay. Okay.
I'm not going to save the display. I was going to save the display, but we're on an Nylor, it's going to screw things up. Okay, again, this is really close here. So just for practicality, I'm just going to shift it a little bit. Just to give it a little bit more.
To inside.
Wiggle room.
Yeah.
Okay. Again.
Right for green.
Again, pull it close
This part should be on top.
down where the
Okay,
pin is.
this one, yeah.
Yeah, it's up in here,
Yeah.
down here. One finger.
Down.
Okay, now we're only doing one lens, so I'm faking it, and it changes. Okay, so we're ready to go.
With the left runs.
Now this goes up. Chuck, keep your fingers clear. And we're in guided, so I can start. It's going to trace it, and it's going to stop.
Guide.
Actually, I'm going to stop that. Now, because we already blocked it, I have to unlock the settings. Otherwise, if I go into here, I can't change anything. Actually, in this case, I want to put it on polish, right? Otherwise, you would have to unlock it, and then it's going to give you a warning. You might have to reblock it. Just say ignore or whatever. So, just so you can see what the polish looks like. That's one thing when they get a black coffee, they fill it right to the brim. It's too hot, I have to let it cool down.
So in the poly, we need to polish, right? Yeah.
If you don't polish it, it will tend to yellow within about 2 years around the
Okay.
edges. But ideally, you want them to come back in 2 years anyway. So, strictly speaking, you're supposed to polish. If you want the repeat business, you don't polish.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to stop it here. So it was a 4.5. The machine is saying 4.9. That's good. That's within a diopter.
One diopter difference.
That's where it's going to look. That's what it's going to look like. And I think that's pretty decent.
Okay.
If we put this at a 4.5, not much different. So now it's going to fit exactly. So
Okay.
you could have left it. This is going to be no pressure on the lens at all. Okay, so let's just do it there. You don't want to move it forwards or backwards. It's a good balance.
Okay.
Okay? Your thinnest point, you're good. Your thickest point,
So how we are knowing the thinness or thinness in this case is
right. Okay, so if I'm excuse me, if I'm pushing outside, okay, where it's rotating around, I can stop at any place. But if I push on the inside of the lens, it centers it. I push once, that's my thinnest point,
Okay.
which is 2.54. Now, if that is less than 1.5, the machine is set for the automatic setting that if in front of the groove or behind the groove there's 0.45 millimeters or less, it's going to say there's not enough lens material. If you're doing a polycarbonate, a high index, a Trivex, you can reduce that. All right, you can go to 0.4 depending where it is. If it's up where the frame is, not an issue. If it's down on the bottom where the person's going to be putting the lens down on a counter, and it could chip, fine. You can always go to a ratio, which is what you're used to, and go to 50-50. Now it's right down the middle,
Okay.
right? But you're better off with a curve at matching the frame. That way there's no pressure caused by the frame. It's going to sit in better. It's going to be easier to put it together.
Okay.
And you've got whatever, right?
Okay.
Now you can follow the front curve, you can follow the rear curve, depending on what the shape of the frame is
Yes.
and what you want as an outcome. If you're following the rear curve, that's going to look pretty ugly.
Okay.
Right.
So
But you
see
can at
how
least
it's
picture-
look like. Can I?
Yeah. So just there, you got a lot sitting out there,
Okay.
right? Now a lot of labs will just follow the front curve, which would look good depending on what the curve of the lens is. Now, if it's a 4 base, you're still within tolerance, so you're good on that one there. But if you can match the frame,
So generally 50-50. This is 50-50.
If
right?
it's a thin lens.
Okay.
But that's not where you want. That's not where you want to be.
Yeah.
You want to use the curve and then put in a 4.5 because now
balance
that's
the-
going to match the frame.
Okay.
That's going to be your ideal
So always we
setting.
have to focus on this curve and
That's right.
1 mm diopter difference. That's
Ideal.
Ideal. Okay.
Ideal. Not
Okay.
1 mm, 1 diopter.
1 diopter. Yeah.
Okay, because you're looking at the curvature.
Yeah.
Now, if you've done that, all right, but you want it further towards the front, now you go to the position and you change this so you're closer to the front. On this particular one, I wouldn't bother. I just leave that at 0.
Okay.
Now, if you have a metal T-bar, all right, you know what the T-bar is? The T-bar is this piece in here. Normally it's plastic, right? That little, and if those fall out,
Okay,
those are
one
a
is
pain in
there.
the neck. Sometimes that's metal. If that's metal, change your groove width to 0.8. Because this here has, like if somebody takes their glasses off with one hand, the frame's going to move.
Okay.
Being plastic, it's going to move. It's not going to chip the lens, but metal is going to put the pressure on the lens and it might chip
Chip it.
So give it a little bit more thickness, a little bit more space on the groove.
With the groove.
Now you got some wiggle room. You're not going to be replacing lenses.
Okay.
Okay.
So we're doing 0.6 only. Okay.
If you have one of those frames where the whole frame goes into the groove of the lens, okay, I don't know who's got those, but they're around. You're going to have to find out what the settings are from the supplier, but you can change your groove depth, let's say to 0.8. All right, so now it's going to be much deeper, and this here would also probably be 0.8 or 0.9. Again, it's a metal frame going into the groove of the lens. You need the wiggle room.
Okay.
And if it has to fit in there properly, so you have to have more depth to it. For those, you have to find out from the manufacturer of the frame or whoever your supplier is, what's the depth, what's the width that you need. Otherwise, for your groove width, it's 0.6, which is the thickness of the cutter, and your groove depth is 0.4. That leaves 0.2 millimeters sticking out. Now it's stretched a little bit, so it'll be less than that, but it's a little bit of a buffer against damaging the lens. And you don't see it as much as if you put it all the way in, because now you've got a line inside.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay. So one thing, the frame curve is 4.5. It should be always less, right?
Not necessarily.
It can
could be more. If
No,
it's within,
with-
if it's within a diopter difference between the
Plus,
lens
plus
curve,
minus, right?
plus or minus, yeah,
Okay. Okay.
then it's not going to be enough that it's going to tilt it in or bring it out.
Oh.
Okay?
Right.
And if there's a little bit of a change, it's so minimal you not have to reshape the frame.
Okay.
If it's like a lot of labs, they just follow the front curve of the lens. Well, if you have a 5 base frame and you have a 1 base high index lens, your temples are like this.
Okay.
And now you got to try to reshape it. So this way here, you can avoid all that.
Okay.
Okay? Are you happy with that? Does it
Yeah.
make sense?
Yep.
Okay, start.
वो नहीं प्राणन
नहीं this one is better.
हाँ जी वैसे आनी भी नहीं
ठीक है ठीक है
सेम काम करते हैं हम दे रहे हैं
Or there's no sense in reinventing the wheel.
Yeah, I understand that.
You don't have any leaks? No sense. Because you might have
तो
to.
लीक लूक लगी वो पुराने में रख दीजिए.
Well, leave the bucket with you if you decide to change it. It's easy enough to change, but the reality is,
I think it's okay. It's working.
Yeah.
We have to clean it.
either way you're going to.
Yeah, I
You don't have to do it. If anything, there's like a thread and you just get it going and out it comes. So it takes a little bit longer, but it's a nice job.
So हाफ रिम के लिए हम कोई भी फ्रेम बना सकते हैं, कोई भी मटेरियल यूज कर सकते हैं इसमें. ग्रीन जनरली राइट के लिए.
It's doing the edge polish. And now it's going to do the grooves.
Only?
No, it's
No.
039. I don't have any poly.
इसमें कोई भी मटेरियल यूज कर सकते हैं रिमलेस के लिए.
Normally we use high index only or CS39. Not the major job is like 1.56.
Yeah. Okay, so you notice these here? One has ratchets on it, and the other one is smooth. This has already more of a base curve. So if you have a plus lens, use this one here.
Okay.
Regular lenses. Now the reality is they're flexible.
Flexible, so
right?
it's
Same as this one here. If you use that on a regular lens, it's going to flatten.
Flat.
So it's not a big deal, but
But it's the
that's
better option.
That's the difference between them. Yeah, you don't want to look like a skunk. White spray all over you.
Do the again polish it, right?
Nope, it's done. So grab the lens.
Yeah.
Go ahead, grab the lens. Go ahead.
First, we have to insert it.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Dash up. Chuck. Keep your fingers clear. Retouch.
One step. Okay. One touch. Retouch.
And now your size. So if you want to take it down, let's say 0.05 minus. Now, if you forget the minus, oops. All right, it beeps at you and laughs at you because it can't add. All right, so it's got to be a minus.
Okay. So plus is to add. Okay.
Yeah, but
That's
you
why
can't
minus.
add, right?
Yeah.
So minus is to take it off.
Uh,
Your groove, it's going to retouch the groove. Okay?
Okay.
Doesn't let you redo the SFB, the feathering. SFB is safety bevel.
Okay.
Okay? And then you push start and it just cuts it down.
Okay. Sorry.
It will do the edge polish as well again.
Okay.
Okay, so that's really all there is to it.
So,
And then the next job is to push home. Now, what kind of lenses do you use for progressives?
progressive is generally sent to lab.
You don't need to.
Yeah.
You
But-
don't need to.
Okay.
Okay? Because, all right, let's just take, just retrace this for you. Pretty sure I don't have. I had one progressive lens and I left it at the last job. But you'll see, all right? Who do you get the lenses from? Centennial. Do you know what the drop is on a progressive?
We don't get progressive here.
But you can't.
We don't do it.
But you can't.
We can do it, but we are never doing it. Yeah?
Why?
We're sending it to BM Optical. They do everything. They do edging free for us.
Oh, okay. If it's free, that's what you do.
Okay.
Yeah, because all you needed to do
Is
was,
that to set the pitting?
all right, so you put in your PD, so let's call it a 34.
Sometimes we cut the lenses. If it's emergency, let find
Yeah.
it out.
This is breeze size, right? Okay.
So that'd be your seg height.
We are not using a Sentinel lens for Isler. We are using Isler only.
Okay, that makes it easy. Okay, so now we go into edit.
So this was the.
Sorry.
This is breeze
That's your-
size of the frame.
No, no, that's your DBL. That's already measured.
Okay.
This here is your.
So
is
that
your-
measure automatically.
Yes.
Okay.
The only time you don't have is when you're doing a nylor because you're tracing just
Yeah,
one length,
okay,
right?
okay.
So then you have to put that in.
So we can change in that cases, right?
You can change that to frame PD if you want, but DBL is much easier to work.
Okay. All right.
Okay. This here is your box measurements, so that will be your seg height.
Okay.
Okay, for a progressive, it's going to be around 22 or whatever. So now we go into edit, and here we're going to select progressive.
Okay.
Okay. Now, doesn't matter what everything else is right now for what I'm showing you, because I'm just going to show you. Okay, you go to here. There's your target. Okay. Now, if you're using S-Lure, your EP is going to be 4 millimeters. That's your drop. So then all you're going to do is you're going to line up that cross and the
With
horizontal line.
Okay. Gotcha.
This doesn't care what kind of a lens it is. It's how you block it.
Okay.
This here says, here's my axis. This is how much I have to offset for the right PD and for the
Okay.
seg
That's
height.
it. Okay.
So if you block it right, this doesn't care.
Good. Okay. All right.
All right. So you can easily, then you just line it up on there again. With the progressive, you can actually also, most times you can actually see the laser engravings.
Yeah.
So if the lines are not even there, if you can see the laser engravings, you're good as long as you know what that height is.
Okay. This is it. All right.
Yeah. Make sure it's going to cut out and block it. Put your lens in and cut it. So I'm going to default this to 4 since you're using the SLR lenses. Save the display. So now that'll default to that.
Okay.
So you can.
For the
do-
progressive, it's already default there. Okay.
That's right.
Yeah.
Flat top bifocals, again, flat top 28 is probably what you're using most of the time.
Yeah. 20.
So you're going to follow the top curve, and you're going to see where it curves, right? The two width points. You're using your near PD.
Okay.
If you're doing a trifocal, same thing. You're using your width, and you can change this. So let's say you have a round segment. It's a 25. You change this to a 25, and now you just line it up in there.
Okay.
Okay, so it's really simple. So 28 for your flat top. I'm going to save that display. So now you're going to default to 28 mil. I'm going to go back to single vision here and put that at a 34, which was, I can recall. Okay, your progressives. That's 4 mil. You can see right there.
For a Silver 4, yeah. Okay.
Okay. And this here is usually 33.5. So your openings there are going to be pretty much
Yeah,
where the
right.
openings are. Okay. So I'm going to save that display there. Single vision. Oop, 1 times. Yeah, that's fine. I'm just saving it back again because I just saved the other ones.
Okay.
Bifocal. 28. You're good. Progressive.
So,
4 and 33 and a half. So you're good there.
all right.
All right. So I'm just going to make sure that's defaulted. So that's you're there. Okay.
Okay. Perfect.